morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks on Monday, the 4th day of December, year of our Lord 2017. Welcome to the John Moore Show. The prepper tip of the day. I want to encourage all of you, men and women, to learn to use a map and compass, learn cross-country navigation. This is a basic, fundamental skill that every adult should have. Seriously. Right now, it's a matter of you have the time, you can make the effort to set the cost involved is minimal, almost non-existent. Right, but however, in the future, it could be a matter of life and death to have those skills of using a map, using a compass, and cross-country navigation. So begin that process now, and you'll be very glad that you did. We have patient waiting and agreeing with my friend Jimmy Ginsling. Jimmy is the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That website is deserteagleshooters.com. Mondays we talk about firearms. Anything and everything to do with rifles, shotguns, pistols, the gun culture, firearms laws, and so forth. Good morning, Jimmy. Hello, Jimmy. Are you there? Okay. It appears that Jimmy is not there. Maybe he'll join us soon. I was reading this morning that the civilian marksmanship program is incrementally getting closer to having 1911 45 caliber pistols available for sale. This has been in the works for several years, and you need to educate yourself on this. They're going to release and sell 10,000 1911 45 pistols per year. To participate, you need to be part of the Civilian Marksmanship Program, CMP, Civilian Marksmanship Program. I don't want to get into the details here live on the air, but you need to, if you want one of these pistols, these will be the same pistols carried in World War I, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. I doubt that the one I carried in Vietnam made it back from Vietnam. It was sold to me privately, and I sold it privately. No, Lord knows where that pistol might be now. But, it's been a real struggle. Under the Obama administration, Hussein Obama did everything he could to prevent the M1 Garands from coming back to this country, the 1911s from being released. And by the way, the U.S. government spends $2 per pistol per day to store these things. It seems like an outrageous dollar amount to me, but that's what it is. Looks like Jimmy may be back with. Jimmy, are you there, sir?
Oh, yes, sir. I was there earlier. Just something between the phones didn't like each other.
Oh, okay. Well, we made it. That's all that matters.
That's
Jimmy,
right.
While we were waiting for you to get with us, I was telling about, it looks like the civilian marksmanship program may actually have 1911 45 caliber pistols to sell in the not too distant future. This has been an ongoing dilemma for a number of years now, hasn't it, sir?
Oh, yes, sir. And that was a number one conversation this weekend at the gun show.
I
bet.
We
had a gun show in Ruidoso this weekend. Also for our Firearms Monday tip of the day, tip of the week, practice, 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 but throw a caveat in it. Practice with your wife's gun. Have your wife practice with your gun. If your children are shooting and everything, practice with their guns and have them practice with each yours and your wife's gun. Purpose for this, ladies and gentlemen, is get just as comfortable and just as proficient with your backup's gun as you are with your gun. There is always that chance, no matter how slim, that there may be a catastrophic failure in your firearm at a time when it's absolutely needed. So, by practicing and using each other's weapons, you'll be able to sit there and shift from one to the other, or back up if that person isn't there, use their handgun, and take care of situations that may arise. Or if they're injured, or if you're injured, and they run their reserves dry, they have a backup. Good thought, you think, John?
Absolutely, I agree. Absolutely, and I would take it a step further to include learning how to disassemble the firearm for cleaning. Not a complete breakdown to all the minor parts, but disassembly to the part where you can clean it properly, and learn in great detail how these firearms work, all the pieces that go into making them work. One thing I would not do would be to tamper with the sights. If I'm using my grandson's rifle and it's sighted in for him, I will not change the sights for me to use it for a training purpose, because then the sighting, that would be burdensome to say the least. Now, if it's going to be a transfer that would take in some period of time, then go ahead and resight the firearm to suit myself. But if it's just going to be for a training day, no, don't change the sights just for a training day. What do you think, sir?
Perfect point, John. Tip on that, ladies and gentlemen. Your gun at 20 yards, you shoot dead on. You use your wife's handgun, and you consistently hit, let's say, 6 inches high and 6 inches to the left. The reason for that can be the style of gun, the grip, the sights themselves. If it's a different size handgun, your trigger finger fits inside, and you may be pulling or pushing when you're firing the gun. Instead of changing your style of shooting, and like John said, never adjust the sights. Instead, get the mental picture on yourself, and you get this through practice and muscle memory. If you pick up her gun, instead of aiming dead center, aim 6 inches right and 6 inches low. And as John and I have taught several times, building that muscle memory, you're used to your handgun. I guarantee you pick up your wife's gun or your wife picks up your gun, automatically you're going to know it is not your handgun. And with muscle memory training, you automatically change your sight picture or your point of aim so that you're hitting without adjusting their firearm. Like John said, adjusting the firearm is a last resort. And again, that would be for something you're going to be using it for some time. The cleaning part, John, excellent point. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a neat little tool. It's been out for a long time. In fact, the original ones go all the way back to 1901 in the cleaning kit for the 1903 Springfields and the later modified slightly to the Garands. And it's called a bore snake. It's a very simple cleaning tool. They are caliber, not specific, but general. And all it is a specially constructed cloth snake or almost like a little rope. Has a weight on one end, very thin line, almost like parachute cord that goes through the barrel, and then you pull the snake through it. They make it for rifles and handguns. One thing that I teach people in long-range precision shooting is the pre-fire checks, and one of those is pulling a bore snake through the gun. Two things. One, it makes sure there's no obstructions. Two, if there is any grunge, dirt, garbage, or anything in there, it wipes it out. Do that with your handguns as well. They make them for the handgun. Keep it right there wherever you store your handgun. Habit is you're going to check your reserves anyway. Drop the mag, lock the slide back. In the case of a revolver, open the cylinder, drop your bore snake in, pull it through, look over the gun, oil is necessary if you want, put a round in and lock it up and you're ready to go. Pretty good technique to get into, John?
It is, and one of the advantages of a bore snake is it's very, very compact, making it useful for use in the field. Anything you can do to save weight and space when you're out in the bush is always helpful, isn't it?
Oh, yes, sir. On my AR-15s that have the A1, A2 stock with the storage compartment in the rear, I have two items in that one. One is a small survival kit, and it's just a bare-bones survival kit. It has cord, a means to make fire, and a means to signal, and a bore snake. In the one of the mods that I always do to my ARs is I change the grip, and I've got a particular one. It's known as an all-weather live rubber with a storage compartment in the bottom. In that one, I have a Ziploc bag, and all of the Allen wrenches or anything that go to that gun, plus some spare springs and other basically a small oops kit, fits in there, and then the plug goes over the top of it. When I get ready to go out, pop the tailstock open, pull out the bore snake, run it through the gun, put it back in, I'm good to go. So, just a few things to think about. Plus, they make great stocking stuffers since it is that time of year again.
It is.
Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I don't care if you buy from me or not. You can find these at all of your places that sell ammunition or gun parts, even Walmart. Just look, say you've got a 45 ACP, and you go in there, you look at the bore snakes, you'll have pistol on one side, rifle on the other, and normally on the 45 and the 38, your 38 will double as 9mm, 380, 38 Special, 357 Magnum, all same bore snake. Pistols, you'll have like 40, 41 mag, 45 ACP, and another size bore snake. So, excellent stocking stuffers, birthday presents. If you got a shooter at your company and everything else, you want to give them a card and maybe something as a thank you and a friendship gift for this time of year. Bore snake's a nice, small, compact little item. And it's one of the most useful of the pocket projects that you can have with you in the field. Another conversation that we had at this gun show this weekend, John, watching my clock here, if most people understood, the tax bill went through Friday, actually Saturday morning, about 2 o'clock in the morning. The National Reciprocity Bill came out and is coming up, and I think it already passed either the Senate or I think it was the Senate. And that's the H.R. 38, I believe. I have to check on that number during the break. But also there is another bill that the Democrats brought up, and it's called the Fix-Nix bill. The Fix-Nics bill. And as the Democrats love to do, there's several restrictions on that one, such as federally mandating that if you are any kind of pain medicine or Chantix or something like that to stop smoking, they can come take your guns away until you have a doctor's note saying that you're sane enough to own a gun.
Well, the pain meds aren't the problem. What the problem is the psychotropic drugs. That's the problem.
Exactly. But in this Fix-Nix, they have included all the opioids, all the minor pain meds, and everything. Anything that can, as they put it, alter your perception, i.e. make you drowsy. They have included in on this thing.
Being sleepy and your brain slows down when you take pain meds on one hand. On the other, that's not the issue. The issue is psychotropic drugs that make you crazy. That's the issue, Grandpa.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. But when have Democrats ever done anything logical?
Oh, I know.
The conversation that we're talking about at the gun show is that from what people are hearing, and I heard it last night on Armed American Radio, they're trying, that bill passed through in record time. In fact, it set a new record going through the Senate. And what the assumption is right now, and we'll probably find out today, is they want to attach it to National Reciprocity Bill and attach both of those to the tax bill. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are some amendments that are being proposed by a couple of our gun organizations. GOA is one of them, and the other one, I think, is JPFO, Jews for the Preservation of Firearms. They've got some amendments that would actually help it. Personally, most everybody else has just scrapped the whole thing. But all your congressmen and your senators today, ladies and gentlemen, 202-224-3121. We'll repeat that several times through the show. Tell them to vote against the fixed NICS with no amendments, and to vote for the National Reciprocity Bill. And if they want to attach that to the tax bill, great, do it. That means by Christmas, we'll have the foundation laid, John, for national reciprocity. And we should be coming up on a breaker very shortly. And after the bottom of the hour break, ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you a chance to get a pen and paper and be ready to take some notes on this. I'm going to go through, and for those that are not familiar with this National Reciprocity Bill, I want to go through, John, and I want to tell everybody what I have personally found out reading the bill, talking to Congressman Pierce, getting real good questions back and forth between his office and us here of
hold that thought,
what
Jimmy.
this bill looks like for us in the gun culture coming up if it passes.
Okay. We'll get back to that after the break. Oh, that sounds good. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at theliberty. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 4th of December, visiting with Jimmy Ginsling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That website is deserteagleshooters.com. Let's continue, Jimmy.
All right. Just before the break there, we were talking about a couple of bills to pay attention to, and stocking stuffers. Another little idea for a stocking stuffer, ladies and gentlemen, and I find this thing to be just absolutely cool and awesome, and otherwise a real neat thing to have around. You know that we've, and John have promoted the hand crank solar power radios, emergency radios for a long time. And in talking about that, we've discussed that with the Cato radios, you can charge your cell phone or you can charge your iPad or Kindle or whatever else you've got on it. We started carrying a new item that a friend of ours recommended us look at, and it's an electronic, for all intents and purposes, cigarette lighter. And it's fuelless, it runs, it's fully electric, and has two safeties on the catch. It's waterproof, windproof, because there's no flame. And basically what it is a micro stun gun, and you flip the latches on it, pop the cover open, push the button, and there's a gap of about a little bit more than 1/8 of an inch between the probes, and there's that zap going across there. Lights, cigarettes perfectly, cigars are a little bit on the large side, but I found out that if you're going to start a fire, you slide the paper in between the two probes, hit the button, and move it about 3 inches, and all of a sudden that paper is just full ablaze. Was playing with it the other day a little bit over the weekend, last week, and a few small twigs, again, slide them in there and hit the button, and maybe a second or two, and they're burning, John. The item, it's called the TechFire, TEKFIRE, and it's a trademark name, so you can find it real quick. They're $24.99. They charge off of your USB charger, or you can charge it off the Cato, or anything else. And since it's an entire field unit and everything, John, I really don't think it would be bothered by an EMP attack.
Well, it's possible. With what you're stating, it certainly is possible. EMP would not affect it.
But sorry about that. My phone it kind of gurked there for a moment. The screen went blank. I'd said that it was not affected by an EMP attack that I know of, because it's basically your static discharge, like your stun guns, things like that. But what I find unique about it is, if all else fails, this thing, and I've tried it out with some of our winds last week, 20, 30-mile-an-hour wind, and since there's no flame, there's nothing to blow out, ladies and gentlemen. And it's just a neat little stocking stuffer, or get one for yourself and put it in your everyday carry kit, your survival pouch, whatever. And it's just a really neat little item, ladies and gentlemen. Go and take a look at it and maybe pick a couple of them up. John and I are always the fan, if you pick up a really cool firearms-related thing for someone's birthday or Christmas and everything, it's always nice to buy two. That way you can demonstrate it for them. Correct, John?
That's right. Absolutely. That is absolutely true.
We always have to try one anyway.
That's right.
But it is that time of year, ladies and gentlemen. I know some out there don't observe Christmas as others do, and all of us are pretty much tired of the commercialization of it. But it is a good time of year that you thank your friends and your family and your coworkers, and if you operate a business, think about your regular customers that come to you for everything. And look at some of these little items, ladies and gentlemen. Use them as a stocking stuffer. And like I said, I don't care if you get from me or anybody else. Go looking and think of usefulness. We had a couple of other conversations at the gun show this weekend. We always have those individuals that, when we talk long-range performance shooting or precision shooting, Every time, man, there's someone that's going, their dream gun is a .338 Lapua. And every time I ask them, have you ever fired one? Oh, no. Do you know anybody that has one? Maybe. Buy the ammo for them. Go to the range with them. I want you to put a full box, 20 rounds, down range with it, and then think about if you really want to buy that gun.
Yeah, and be sure you got the telephone number for your chiropractor handy, too.
Exactly. It's like I tell folks,
and possibly physical therapists, and have some of those ice bags on hand as well.
Yes. I asked this gentleman this weekend, I says, are you familiar with the 300 Win Mag? And he goes, oh, yeah, my brother's got one. And I says, have you ever shot it very much? And he goes, yeah, I really don't like it. And I says, then you're going to absolutely hate a .338 Lapua. Because comparing a 300 Win Mag recoil to 338 Lapua recoil is about like comparing a 5.56 recoil to a 45-70.
Here's our break. We got a break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. All right, we are back. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 4th of December. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. With Christmas gift giving season, you may want to think about an energy cleaner for that special person. I'm seeing now, I've been doing this now over 7 years, and I'm seeing more and more people are buying another energy cleaner for a sibling, an adult child, maybe a parent. It's a lot of fun helping people do this and get these gifts to their friends and loved ones. An energy cleaner is a marvelous healing device. That's what it is. If you have issues with pain, it could be joint pain, arthritis pain. Almost everybody with arthritis pain gets relief, by the way. Back pain, doesn't matter. It will probably help. Not getting a great night's sleep, it will probably help there. What a marvelous gift for somebody that is suffering. Help them get their life back. Only $285 should be included. And keep in mind, of course, I offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. You're risking nothing when you get your energy cleaner. Check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads. This is a time of year that's really busy for me. This is my home business. My supplier of both energy cleaners and mattress pads, they get behind this time of year. But we do get caught up. We may be running a few days behind, maybe even a week or two sometimes, but we always get caught up this busy season. I do take PayPal, MasterCard, Visa, and checks can be sent to my address at thelibertyman.com. My toll-free hotline 24 hours a day, here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. We're We're visiting with Jimmy Ginsling, and Jimmy is the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That website is deserteagleshooters.com. And Jimmy, let's continue our discussion here.
All right. As I promised everybody, we've been talking about the National Reciprocity Bill for some time now, and it looks like it's about to be a reality as long as someone doesn't throw some kind of a massive wrench in it somehow. I don't count on anything until it's been signed by the president.
Right.
But this new one, John, or actually this bill, it's been around for a while. You're going to love it. If you live in Arizona, which is a constitutional carry state, and you visit Maryland, and Maryland's law states that you can only have magazines that hold 8 rounds, and that you're limited to this caliber or whatever, guess what? You actually get to conceal carry without a license, the exact same gun with the exact same mag with the exact same ammunition that you carry in Arizona. And the only limitation that will be put upon you is where you can carry. If they say that you cannot carry in a restaurant that has a bar, then you have to abide by that.
Right.
But
right.
They cannot regulate the type of handgun you carry, the ammunition that you carry, or the magazine capacity.
Well, another big advantage, Jimmy, is people that live in highly restrictive states such as California, New York, Illinois. They can get a Florida concealed carry permit or a Utah concealed carry permit much easier than they can in their home states, can't they?
Oh, yes. And that's one thing that is, I just think I'm looking for it right now so I can give you the actual bill number and all. Cannot find my notes that I made. But yes, it is H.R. 38, and the bill so written, if you're in New Jersey and want to go over to your neighboring state and get your concealed carry license there, they have to honor it. They cannot restrict you. That's the beauty of this bill. It prevents local or state agencies or governments from hindering your constitutional right to conceal carry in their state.
Jimmy, you follow these legislative things somewhat closely. Is there any? I understand. Is there any motivation or any proposal to reverse and do away with the Lautenberg Amendment that you know of?
Refresh my memory on the Lautenberg.
Okay. That was the amendment that made misdemeanor domestic assault have the equivalent punishment of a felony when it came to firearms ownership.
Okay.
I'll give people...
I haven't looked into that one, but as you were talking, I was writing it down. I will see if I can find something about any status on that by next week.
That goes back to about 1995, 1990. It was about 1995, I believe, when it was.
It was the first term of Clinton, I believe.
Yes, and here's what happened, ladies and gentlemen. I'll give a real life example because I was talking to some FBI agents about this. Let's say it's 1970, and you're a 19-year-old Marine, and you come home on leave to visit your lovely wife unexpectedly, and you find your lovely wife is in a relationship with a man she's not married to, and you beat up that man, and so you get arrested, you get charged with misdemeanor assault involving this domestic dispute, and you're told by your attorney it's just a misdemeanor, plead guilty to it, and it'll be no big deal. And that was 1970. So here we are in 1995, you're middle-aged, you've got your college degree, you're an FBI agent, and you had a stellar career working for the FBI, and the Lautenberg Amendment gets passed, and now you no longer can carry a gun, which means the end of your FBI career unless you go into some administrative branch of the FBI. This happened to thousands of men all over the United States in 1995, 1996, where they had their careers and their lives devastated because of a misdemeanor violation that happened anywhere from 1 year to 20 or even 30 years prior. And it needs to be done away with, Jimmy. It really does.
Yes, I know what you're talking about now when you got into that. Because my experience with it was, and I still have never understood 100% if they made it stick or not, but there was a Coast Guard petty officer that did almost the identical thing that you described long before he was ever in the Coast Guard. He was a gunner's mate, worked with guns all the time, and they were trying to make sure that that same bill affected Army Rangers, Navy SEALs, Marines, anybody that carried a gun, it would affect them as well.
Right.
In the military.
Right.
And the best example that I got of that was that the Joint Chiefs basically told them where to stop it. But that still doesn't prevent them from trying.
I know.
So
I know.
I will check into that, yes. But the one carry bill
FBI,
right now.
You know.
Go ahead.
I was talking to a couple of FBI agents about this, and of course, back in the court records earlier than about somewhere around 1980 or even later, were not computerized. So
Mm-hmm.
I said to the agents, I said, well, there's no computerization of these misdemeanor convictions going back to the 70s and even into the 80s. And the agent told me, well, we're just relying on the agents to reveal that on their own, since there's no record, computerized record that can be checked. And the records would be kept in more than 3,000 county courthouses. I believe it's 3,300 counties thereabouts in the United States, which is obviously an administrative burden, to say the least.
Exactly, yes. and depending on how it went, you might some copies of those records were turned over to police or sheriff's departments to be in their system in case something happened again. They would have a record. So that would expand where you would have to look to see if there was anything involved with that. Yeah, right. A logistical nightmare would be a welcome relief in that particular case.
Well, like I said, it's one of those little, unless it affects you directly, it's something most people wouldn't think about. But it's changing, and we have a law. It's something. It's illegal to have ex post facto laws in the United States. Well, this is an ex post facto punishment. Because these men, the majority of them, would never have pled guilty to this misdemeanor at the time if they knew that at some point in the future the punishment would raise to the level of a felony.
Yep. And that's another reason why I have a very low regard for attorneys. But my bride was just bringing me some coffee and just did exactly what I did earlier. Missed the cup just by a little bit.
Uh-huh.
But ladies and gentlemen, today is the day that you get on the phone and contact your congressmen and senators, because this bill passed in the Senate and has already passed in the House. So now, since there were differences in the bill, they weren't word for word, they have to go to reconciliation. And this reconciliation group, I can't remember how many it is that's in it, take the two bills, combine them, hammer out details, come up with a new combined bill. It goes over to the House, gets voted on. From there, it goes to the Senate, gets voted on. And then once that's done, then it goes to the President's desk. So call today. And today is very important because they're evidently going to have try to have this thing hammered out by Wednesday, so they can get it passed and through both houses and get it to the President's desk as soon as possible, especially before Christmas. But today is the day. 202-224-3121. If your congressman or your senator hasn't supported it, that's the first question I ask, is when they answer the phone, who I am, give them my zip code or where I live, and ask them, does Congressman so-and-so support the National Reciprocity Bill, H.R. 38? If they say yes, commend him on it, tell him to give him an attaboy, and to help get out there and push this thing and get it through. If they haven't, ask them why. What's their problem with this? Don't they understand that the part that says shall not be infringed? And be nice. That's my hardest part, is be nice, but be firm. They need to understand that you're their boss, not the Speaker of the House and not the Speaker of the Senate. You're their boss. A government of, by, and for the people. So today is the day, ladies and gentlemen. Let's tie up the phone lines up there. Text your friends, call your friends, email your friends, let them know what's going on. Give them the phone number, and let's get this, just get out there and get it done. Now's the time. I mean, we've been waiting for this. We've been fighting about this. John and I have both been griping about it being hung up by one person. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's laying right out in front of us. All of us that have grumbled and grumped and everything else about it have our chance to push it and get it through. It's so important, John.
Well, it is, and we need a victory. We've had all this anti-gun hysteria with these mass shootings. A political victory right now would be very helpful to help us move forward to get the Hearing Protection Act passed also, wouldn't it?
Exactly. If we get this one done, then the Hearing Protection Act is the next shot, pun intended. But, ladies and gentlemen, we not only need to get a victory for the true conservatives that have brought this thing up and fought for it and refused to let it die and refused to let it, go to the dustbins of government bureaucracy and sit there forever. We also need to hand something to the president that he can sit there and stand up to the people and go, see what your Congress did. They not only listened to you, they didn't butcher it, they created a good bill. I'm signing it. Now, get on them to get this done or that done. And it's very, ladies and gentlemen, I can't express the importance enough on getting this passed. The Fix NICS bill, the Fix NICS as they're calling it, that one, I'm hoping to find some information on the proposed amendments on it soon. And if I do, John, I'll email you with the details, so at least you'll have it for upcoming shows if you have open lines or whatever. But that one troubles me greatly because the language is not clear at all. In fact, it's just about as, clear as a muddy puddle.
Which one is not clear? Say again, which one is not clear, Jimmy?
The Fix NICS. The Fix NICS that the Democrats put together.
Right.
That bill, ladies and gentlemen, is almost, John, it's almost as bad as the Lautenberg bill. It's the one that they are lumping pain meds in with psychotropic drugs And the way it is worded is any medication or drug that alters your perception. Now, that's got to be the biggest blanket I've ever seen, because anything that has a warning on it, including NyQuil, do not operate heavy machinery until you know how it's going to affect you.
Right.
That statement right there prevents you from passing a background check. This thing's a real piece of work. And the fact that it went through in less than 48 hours from conception to being voted on to being able to go out to the full House and Senate for a vote, it tells you that it's bad.
That'll be squashed. That thing will be squashed like a bug.
Yep. And from what I understood last night, what I found this morning, it was in committee for a full sum of 11 minutes. So that means they didn't even have time to read it.
No.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we've got to stand on this. And when you've got your congressman or your senator on the phone, and you're talking about the H.R. 38, the National Reciprocity Bill, if you use that, that's a better way to put it than the H.R. 38, because I know the Senate's got a different number. So, just the National Reciprocity Bill that just passed, you can put it that way. They'll know what you're talking about. And then once you have that covered, tell them, oh, by the way, flush the fixed NICS bill, write a new one that just does away with it altogether. And that should upset their day. But, ladies and gentlemen, now is our hour. And to quote Edwin Burke, the only thing, and this is going to be a butchered quote, John, the only thing for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing.
That's pretty close.
And this is the hour that we all need to be doing something.
It's pretty close. Well, I encourage people to join the Gun Owners of America. Another good group is the Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership. You do not need to be Jewish to belong, by the way. They do great work. Their researchers have found critical documents to show what's been going on for decades, half a century basically behind the scenes, to really reveal the true nature of what's been going on with the anti-gun people. That the basis of the 1968 Gun Control Act, which is part of the Safe Streets Act of 1968, was basically the Gun Control Act 1968 is an English translation of the 1938 Nazi gun laws.
Of Hitler's Gun Control Act.
Almost word for word.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was not for the Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership, JPFO, we may never have found that out, because their researchers went to the Library of Congress and they found the request from Senator Dodd. Senator Dodd, by the way, was part of the Nuremberg War Crime Trials Tribunal. The request from Senator Dodd for an English translation of the 1938 Nazi gun laws, which he took and his staff took and almost word for word introduced as the Gun Control Act of 1968. It's an amazing story.
And, also another one, ladies and gentlemen, that if you don't know this, it might surprise you. JPFO is the one that uncovered the sealed document, which, when you hear what this document was, you'll know immediately that it's illegal to seal it. But Dianne Feinstein's permanent concealed carry license for any caliber in California. And you know, she is the biggest piece of work on anti-gun legislation that there is, and oh my goodness, she's the only person, citizen, I would say, that is a government official that has a permanent concealed carry license in the state of California.
I was not aware that California CCW license are caliber specific.
They're like New Mexico, and I believe Texas is the same way. If you go out and get your concealed carry license with a .357 Magnum, then your concealed carry gun has to be .38 caliber or less.
Really?
You can't carry a 1911 or a .40 Smith & Wesson. And New Mexico, everybody that goes for their concealed carry license borrows, if they don't own, a .45 ACP for the qualification, and it also goes to revolvers. If your concealed carry license is gonna cover both semi-auto and revolver, that's how screwed up New Mexico is.
I went through that with Illinois. I had
7 revolver, and you're limited to .38 caliber or less in your revolver that you would carry. So
I had an Illinois concealed carry permit back in the mid '80s, late '80s, I guess it was, due to my work as a private investigator, and that was basically I had to qualify on both a semi-auto and a revolver to be able to carry both. I had an Illinois concealed carry permit as a Missouri resident, which almost nobody had a concealed carry permit at all from Illinois, and to be an out-of-state resident with an Illinois concealed carry permit in the 1980s was pretty much unheard of by anybody, even in law enforcement. But
I did have. How special you are, John.
It took
People
some
need to understand that the John Moore Show's host is an incredibly special person, and that warrants even a closer listen to every show.
Well,
little fun there with you, John. Just poking a little bit of fun.
That's okay.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's another thing when you go look at your concealed carry license for your state. We've had people, my friend Larry across the road that does the concealed carry classes, has told me that more than once people will come in that have signed up for the course, and they're doing the check-ins and things like that, and before he ever starts the course, because once the course is started, you can't change. So it's kind of basically an introduction to what they're going to be doing. The very first thing he covers is that caliber restriction and the semi-auto revolver restriction in New Mexico law. And being the entrepreneur that he is at a very reasonable rate, basically I think it's a couple of bucks, and they buy the ammo, he has got the 45 Colt revolvers and the 45 ACP.
There you go. He covers all the bases.
Available to his students.
We have a break. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 4th day of December. Our prepper tip of the day is to encourage you, I should say. I want to encourage you, all of you, to learn to use a map and compass, cross-country navigation. These are fundamental skills that every adult, even teenagers in this country should have. GPS is wonderful. I love my GPS unit on one hand. On the other, do you really want to depend your life on something that uses a battery? Seriously, do you? That's not wise. Learn to use a map and compass. It could be a matter of life and death. That's your prepper tip of the day. We continue our discussion with Jimmy Ginsling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That's DesertEagleShooters.com. This is Firearms Monday. We talk about anything and everything to do with guns, the gun culture, firearms laws, and so forth. Let's continue, Jimmy.
All right. And at the first hour, we gave our firearms tip of the day. And always, John and I stress practice, practice, practice. But practice with your spouse's gun. Have your spouse practice with your gun. We've discussed if you have children in your home or young adults that shoot and have their own handguns or their own rifles or whatever, practice with theirs and have them practice with yours. The reason for this, ladies and gentlemen, is when the time is that you're really dependent on that handgun or the rifle, today we're primarily talking handguns, and you have a catastrophic failure, And by catastrophic, I'm not talking about blowing up, ladies and gentlemen. I mean something that happens that the firing pin breaks, or the firing pin spring, or the hammer spring breaks, or something that renders your handgun inoperable or unsafe, that you have to retire it. Or say you shoot a 45, the wife shoots a 9mm, and you run out of reserves. You don't have any more ammunition. By knowing how to use their firearm, then that raises your ability to survive or to defend. And as John and I were discussing in the first hour, when you practice with it, never adjust their sights. And if the way they're gun is, and the reason for this, ladies and gentlemen, is not the sights always. If you're using let's say the guys are using the wife's gun, and at 20 yards or 20 feet, they're consistently hitting 6 inches high and 6 inches to the left, because of the way the gun is made, the way you're holding it, the size of it, if it's a subcompact or a compact, you're going to hold it different and it's going to shoot different. Rather than adjust their sights, adjust your technique to aim 6 inches low and 6 inches to the right so that you will be on target. And that way, ladies and gentlemen, if there is a situation to where your handgun fails or you're not able to get to it and you're using your spouse's or your children's handgun, you feel it, you know the difference, your mind makes the corrections in sight picture, and the world is good. So that's the firearms tip of the day. We talked about the National Reciprocity Bill in the first hour, the Fix NICS, the Fix NICS Bill, first hour. This time, John, I'd like to get into something that's a little bit more at home, we might say. Ladies and gentlemen, with your handguns, particularly this hour, the ammunition that you use to train with and the ammunition that you use for self-defense or home defense, you can use anything to train with, ladies and gentlemen. The most inexpensive ammunition, especially if you're going through a class where you're going to burn up 50, 100, 200 rounds, buy the inexpensive stuff, because mainly what you're learning in classes, unless it is a precision shooting class, you're learning technique. You're not learning accuracy. You're not learning precision. You're learning technique. How to handle the gun, how to sight it in, how to make adjustments, how to correct for different ways of holding the handgun or whatever. The last training that you should do of the day should be with the same ammunition that you're going to use for home defense or self-protection, concealed carry. Ladies and gentlemen, pistols have a very low velocity. On the average, 9mm and down are going to be barely 1,000 feet or right at 1,000 feet per second, more commonly 800 to 900 feet per second. That is very slow. If you have a solid cast bullet, it's going to want to punch through. It's not going to want to upset. I refer to upsetting. Other people refer to muttering. Your hollow point ammunition at low velocity, 90% of the time, will not upset. It won't mushroom because it doesn't have the power and the velocity to start moving that lead around. Now, there are some specialty ammunitions out there that are made, and they'll be labeled home defense, or another that you might see is CQB, Charlie, Quebec, Bravo. That stands for Close Quarters Combat. Frangible ammunition is designed that if it hits a person or a wall, it immediately starts to disintegrate. The point that I'm trying to make, ladies and gentlemen, is shoot a few rounds of your home defense into either a box of sand or something where you can recover the bullet, and then recover that bullet and look at it and see. At 10 feet into a box of sand is going to tell you if that bullet is going to upset, if it's going to mushroom. And I'm afraid you will be very surprised to find out that if you ran that exact bullet through a sizing die just to make it round again, most of the time you could shoot it again, load it in a new case with new powder and primer, and shoot that same bullet again, because it did not deform. So this time of year, if you're looking at stocking stuffers or a gift for a friend or family that is going to be ammunition, don't just buy them something. Sit down and talk to them first and find out what they prefer, and if they haven't looked into defensive weapon ammunition, go out and go shopping with them. Go to the gun shop and talk to the proprietor there, see what they recommend. But if you really want to know what kind of bullets will do the most damage, that will upset and actually do as advertised, talk to either a police or sheriff's deputy, and if by chance that you can talk to the coroner, the people that do the examinations on the bodies and everything after they've deceased, they can tell you right away exactly what bullets, because they have to recover them for whatever legal deals they're working on. So home defense weapons, we all carry them, we all keep them, we all use them. But the most important thing in a home defense situation is the ammunition. You want it to be able to do the job and not over-penetrate, over-perform, you might say, but still do exactly what it's intended. Comments, John?
Well, I agree. I agree.
I know you deal a lot with the different ammunitions.
People, some of what goes on with ammunition and bullets, projectiles, is based on reality. Others is marketing. I'll go back to my favorite caliber, the 45 ACP. Having a hollow point 45 ACP is basically a marketing strategy, because when you've got 230 grains of lead coming at you at about the speed of sound, you don't need to have a hollow point. But there's marketing, there's consumer demand, and based on marketing consumer demand, the manufacturers go ahead and make the 45 ACP and a hollow point, which in my opinion is completely unnecessary, but it's a marketing strategy, and they do it because of that. Your response?
You're absolutely correct. That's why I was recommending that you 10 feet, fire several rounds into a box of sand and recover them. And look at the picture in the advertisement of this beautifully mushroomed bullet and compare it to the one that you just dug out of the sand at 10 feet, and they're going to look different. And if you read the fine print that's on some of the advertising, they will say, bullet pictured is not an exact representation of this particular handgun round, or the bullet in the picture was fired through a rifle instead of a pistol. Different things. They will not, they'll do everything in the world to prevent from falsely advertising, but they will mislead. Now, on that same point, John, I have found a bullet that I've been reloading now in all of our handgun calibers, 45 ACP, 38 Super 9mm, 38 Special, 357 Mag, 380. And ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you still got your pad and your pen around. The company is called Lehigh. It's spelled Lehigh. That's Lima, Echo, Hotel, India, Golf, Hotel, Defense. And the bullets that they manufacture manufacture solid copper, John, and they are hollow point. They're called controlled chaos. They are manufactured in such a way that upon impact, they immediately open up into, for the best description I've ever used is flower petals.
Right.
It looks like you're looking at a daisy because those, each of those leaves, the 45 has got 3 and some of the other ones have 4. But they open up to full diameter, going from 45 to about 1 1/4 inches, and they will stop an individual immediately.
Well, Lehigh's, they've been getting great reviews.
Hit the wall, they will do the same thing.
They've been getting great reviews, and the end of that projectile, the end of that bullet looks like the end of a drill bit, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, because each one of those bullets are machined from a solid bar of copper or bronze. And the 45 ACP, I just love showing that to people because you've got almost a 3/16-inch hole in the end of that thing. And it's a beveled opening, the slots are cut in it, and then when you look at the bullet outside of the case, just below those slots where they just barely stop is an undercut that's machined into it that allows those petals just to fold out. And ladies and gentlemen, if you've got a bad guy in your house and you hit him with one of these, it's not going to be coming out the back. It's going to expend absolutely every bit of that energy in your target. But if you miss your target and it goes through the wall and your daughter's bedroom is on the other side, the moment it hits that drywall, it's going to start opening up, and you'll have a nice little 45 caliber hole on your side of the wall. Your daughter is going to get splattered with debris from the drywall coming apart on the other side, and that bullet's going to be laying on the floor about 7 or 8 feet from the wall.
Right.
And that is just added beauty to the bullet, in my opinion. You cannot over-penetrate with this ammunition, ladies and gentlemen. They do sell the ammunition as loaded ammunition, and I buy it in the just the bullet and reload my own. But they do carry loaded ammunition and just the bullets, ladies and gentlemen. I highly recommend them. It's Lehigh, Lima, Echo, Hotel, India, Golf, Hotel. And they're the nicest thing I've ever seen in home defense, John.
Well, it's certainly, like I say, the Lehigh's ammunition is getting great reviews from very critical sources, and it's certainly something to check out, and I'll be checking it out myself as well.
Another point about them that is not widely talked about is that air marshals and airport security love them because in the event that they are in an aircraft and hijacker, mad bomber, whatever, they hit the bad guy, it's not going to exit the back. But if they miss and hit the seat coming in front, again, it's going to open up and it's just going to kind of be dinking around inside and not punch a hole in the side of that airplane.
Well, that's kind of important when you're 5 miles up, going a couple hundred miles an hour in a pressurized metal tube.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing how that little bitty hole becomes very, very big.
Yeah.
But, ladies and gentlemen, it's something to look into. And, again, if you have any questions on anything that we talk about and things that we may not today, you can always email me at JIMI@HDC hyphen, the little minus mark, nm.com. That's Juliet India, Mike India, at Hotel Delta Charlie hyphen, November Mike, I keep wanting to say New Mexico, .com. And if that doesn't work, you can always text me or call me at the area code 575-513-2842. And if I don't have the answer for you, ladies and gentlemen, I will endeavor to find it for you. This gun show this weekend, John, there were several individuals that we spent quite a bit of time with discussing different things. Didn't sell a thing to them.
Right.
But I'm confident now that when they do go make a purchase, that if it's from me or from anybody else, they're a little bit more educated.
That's good.
That is, I find that, enjoyable. And I tell folks, I am going to make $1 million in this business. It might take me 300 years, but I will do it.
Okay.
And if anybody's got any questions, call in. Don't hesitate to call in. 800-313-9443. Correct, John?
That's it. 3-800-313-9443. We got a break. Well, we should have been in a break by now. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I've been watching that one that's normally at 15 after has been off today.
Yeah.
Well, just because nobody's listening, John, and it's you and I talking over coffee, what are you looking for? What would you like to get this year for Christmas?
Well, let's talk about that when we come back from the break. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just... Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at the All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 4th of December, visiting with Jimmy Ginsling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That website is deserteagleshooters.com. Kind of caught me off guard here, Jimmy. I haven't really thought too much about what I would like for Christmas related to firearms, but I guess I do need to give that some thought. It's one of the things my wife, Dr. Moore, always says. She says, "John, you're so difficult to find to pick a gift for, because I don't have any interest in many of the things that many adult American men want, like watching professional sports, for example. I could care less about that."
Amen. And
so forth. So I'm kind of at a loss to give a reply right now, Jimmy. I apologize.
Oh, no problem. It kind of came off the top of my head. It is that time of year, ladies and gentlemen, and just casual conversation can give insight. Maybe they've got something that's wearing out, or they've seen something that is new that they maybe wouldn't buy for themselves, but it would make something for you to get them. And just food for thought. During the break there, John, I finally come up and found the page that I was looking for earlier. GOA put a very, very good write-up on those bills that we were talking about the first hour. And the other part of the Fix NICS, the Fix NICS bill, that I was trying to remember is that it's been referred to as the traffic ticket gun ban. And the number on it is H.R. 4477. The way they wrote this thing, if you have so many points on your traffic ticket, or on your driver's license, it could prevent you from purchasing a handgun or purchasing any kind of firearm. If you're taking any kind of medication for PTSD, ADHD, Alzheimer's, asthma, bronchitis, or to stop smoking, can prevent you from purchasing a firearm. It's a typical piece of great infringing work by the Democrats.
That'll be smashed. That 4477 will be smashed. There's no chance that would even get close to being passed.
I'm hoping so. But ladies and gentlemen, we can't snooze on this. Again, that number is 202-224-3121. And talk to your congressmen and your senators today, because they're working on getting a resolution worked out with this tax bill that they're working on, and they want to, I don't know if they're going to do it, if it's going to be standalone, but there is talk of attaching it to this bill for passage. So we need to stay on top of these things, ladies and gentlemen. That's how all the bad laws got passed over time, is our inattentiveness. And I count myself in there as much as I do anyone.
Well, believe it or not,
we relaxed and didn't pay attention and didn't raise our voices loud enough and get others to raise their voices with us. All of these laws and bills and infringements on everything that the government has done for so many years, we've just been asleep at the wheel.
Right. Well, and there's some glaring examples. In the 1930s, the National Firearms Act was passed. The National Rifle Association did not oppose it. The 1968 Gun Control Act, the National Rifle Association actually supported the passage of the 1968 Gun Control Act. So there's some very outrageous examples of not doing the right thing in the times past. Of course, that's changed now. The NRA publicly opposes any anti-gun legislation, where behind the scenes they do support anti-gun legislators, believe it or not, and I've seen that personally. But publicly they do oppose anti-gun legislation, which is a good thing. I regard the Gun Owners of America as a far better group when it comes to telling the truth about firearms legislation, don't you?
Oh, yes. And one thing that is very interesting, ladies and gentlemen, if you do support them, which I highly recommend, and you can only send them a few bucks a month. I don't care if it's $1 a month. These people put it to use. They don't use it for administrative costs. They use it for legal research and break time.
It is break time. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our Energy Cleaner promotion, which began August of 2007. 16. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 4th of December. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. Quick reminder, you might want to check out my section on the right side there. Field training exercise, USS Liberty, December 2018. You got, well, basically 1 year to get ready for whatever scenario you pick out a year from now. There's 5 scenarios listed. You get to pick one or more. You can pick all 5 of them if you like, and then begin your preparations. If you haven't, this might be a good way to gain some focus and clarity and give you a date to focus on a year from now. That will pass very quickly, by the way. Also, on our website, our energy cleaners for sale. This is my home business. When you place your order for an energy cleaner or a mattress pad, I'm the guy that boxes them up. I take them to the little country post office in Cherryville, Missouri, where you can get a cup of coffee for 75 cents and get all the refills you want. How about that? Only $295 should be included for the energy cleaner. Keep in mind, I offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you have arthritis pain, back pain, joint pain, it will most likely help. Not getting a great night's sleep? Well, we focus on that as well. I take MasterCard, Visa, PayPal. PayPal now takes payments, by the way. So if you live in the United States and you want to use PayPal, you can now spread out that dollar amount over several months. Checks can be sent to my address at thelibertyman.com. Toll-free our line 24 hours a day for the energy cleaner and the mattress pads. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Jimmy Gensling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That's deserteagleshooters.com. Let's continue, Jimmy.
All right. We were talking about the legislation and everything. 2 very easy to remember websites for you to frequent. One is the JPFO. It's www, of course, jpfo.org. That's the Jews for the Preservation of Firearms website. And you can become a member there and support them. And then the other one, of course, that we were talking about earlier is even, so I get to the right click on it right there. Their webpage is gunowners.com. And that's Gun Owners of America, GOA. And ladies and gentlemen, these organizations spend their money very, very wisely. They use it in these litigations, and they are typically the first ones, Johnny on the spot, when legislation comes through, like in California, that limits people's rights, basically eliminates people's rights in most cases, and they are filing the lawsuits. They're fighting these things for us. And admit it, John, myself, you, we don't have the time to sit there and spend 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 or 6 months in a courtroom suing somebody for taking away our rights. That's why we have these organizations out there. And Gun Owners of America is awesome, and I agree with John. JPFO does more in a lot of cases. They're a larger organization. They have more assets, you might say. But if you can, sign on with them, or at least send them a donation, because you know it's going to be going to the right place, and it's going to be used wisely, and help keep these people in check. And every year at election time, both organizations have a far better list, in my opinion, John, of candidates and their stands on handgun laws, firearms laws, Second Amendment, and both of these organizations take the time to contact the candidates and to run a questionnaire by them. And if the candidate doesn't respond to the questionnaire or refuses to, that is right there on their website. So both of those, ladies and gentlemen, are very good assets. You can go over to either one today and keep track of what's going on with both of these bills in the House, House and Senate right now, both of them. And we've got to stay on top of it, ladies and gentlemen. 650 million people elected Trump to office. That was the largest in-your-face, reject government vote that I think has ever been made. So if you voted for Trump, I did. I'll tell you right now I did. And we can't sit on our laurels. We can't hope that everything's going to turn out all right. A lot of congressmen and senators are retiring because they know they are in deep trouble, that they're going to have a lot of opposition running for re-election. They are, quite honestly, they're very, very nervous, and some are scared, and almost all of them are upset that Trump got elected. He's not a member of the club. How did he get there?
That's right. Well, the mass media failed.
He got there, John, because we were tired of government as usual.
And because thank goodness for the Electoral College, because it would have been just a very few people compared to the whole country. If it had not been for the Electoral College, it would have elected this man.
Oh, yes, sir. And, of course, right after the election, what was the first thing that you heard a lot of Dems and liberals saying?
They want to do away with the
Electoral College.
Right.
No, we don't.
So, Democrats, socialists, and communists hate the Electoral College. The purpose of the Electoral College was to prevent us from becoming a democracy. That's what it's supposed to do, and that's what it has done, is prevent the United States of America from becoming a democracy. And liberals hate that, socialists hate it, Democrats hate it, communists hate it, because they know if they have things to a majority vote, they're going to win.
Oh, yeah. And, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not really familiar with the true meaning of democracy, and every time that I hear someone say that we are a democracy, I correct them immediately. We are a democratic republic, and more republic than democratic. But for all intents and purposes, democracy is mob rule. Perfect example of that, for those of you that have been associated with them, is an HOA, a homeowners association.
Right. That's right. Absolutely.
They will tell you what kind of flowers you can plant in your flower bed, how high they can grow, what color they must be, and if you break any of those, then you'll get fined by the know-it-all group because you didn't follow their rules. Not your rules, but their rules. And that is a democracy, ladies.
It actually gets more nuanced than that. What color shades can be facing the outside? What color trim on your home? The trim on your doors, trim on your windows, you may or may not have. Whether you may or may not fly a flag. What flag you may fly. When you may fly it. And on and on and on. We got a caller on
How
hold
high
here.
your flagpole can be.
Precisely. We got a caller here. We got Ted in Honolulu. Good morning, Ted.
Good morning,
Hey,
Ted.
good morning.
Good talking with you
Hi,
today.
Jimmy. Yes, Jimmy, thank you. Well, it's 5:30 in the morning here, and since you guys got me waking up now at 4 to listen to you, I thought I'd call in. And
We appreciate it.
I'm enjoying your program, but I wanted to ask you about the M1A. I just purchased a brand new one. Jimmy gave me really good information on breaking it in, but I wanted to comment that on the box of my new Springfield Armory M1A, it says not legal in California. I'm just wondering, what is that about? And maybe y'all could comment, tell me how to lube it, what kind of grease, oil you recommend to use on it, and the break-in procedure Jimmy had told me.
Okay,
was
Jimmy.
really good.
Balls in your park, Jimmy. Go for it.
Okay. The reason that the M1A is not legal in California, from what I understand, is it is a true battle rifle. There's never been a civilian version of the M1A made that I am aware of. So every M1A is a true battle rifle, and the wording in California's laws, implements of war, I think is how it is worded, are totally illegal there. Do you know any more about that, John? On that
No,
part of it?
I think that's sufficient to cover that. Let's get into the break-in and lubricants to use for the M1A.
Okay. Hopefully you've gone through the book and everything, and you understand the whole teardown process. The first thing I would do is take it all the way down, and including out of the stock. Since it's brand new in the box and everything, they're going to have preservatives and all over that thing, under the barrel, in the stock, everything. So go ahead and take it all the way down to parade rest and clean every single part of the preservative that they pack it in. Now, it used to be it was cosmoline, and I think today they are still using a variant of that. And cosmoline is one of the most tenacious preservatives I think God ever created, and it does exactly as intended. A preserved gun in cosmoline from the factory, you could soak it in the ocean for probably 6 months and pull it out, and the only place that you might find corrosion is where you scratched it with something. Cosmoline or the preservatives are very, very difficult to remove. I tell folks to go ahead and use common solvent and everything to take the light stuff off, and then get some industrial rubber gloves and a gallon of acetone. Take all of the small parts and put in a metal coffee can and cover them with acetone, and put a plate or something on top of, no plastic. It'll dissolve it in a heartbeat. But a plate, I'm talking a ceramic, like dinner plate or something over it, or a piece of metal over it or something, because it will rapidly evaporate, especially down there where you are. It will absorb moist air in a heartbeat. But soak the parts in that, and wipe down the barrel channel and everything in the stock with the acetone. Wipe the barrel down inside and out. In fact, it doesn't hurt if you've got a lot of times I'll see people take the large power drink cans and everything and cut the top out of them and slide the action down inside of them and cover that with acetone. But what you're going to do is, through this process, you're going to strip all of that protectant off of that gun, and when you get to the barrel itself, and I fill the barrel with acetone. And I'll let it set for 45 minutes to an hour. I'll dump it out, and you'll notice it's discolored, and I'll do it again. And normally 2 or 3 applications of that, and then running a patch through there. Make sure you've got a metal jag on your cleaning rod. Acetone, again, will dissolve the nylon ones. Some of the nylon ones, I'll put it that way. But scrub the barrel on it real good. Dip your copper brush in your acetone and run it back and forth through the through the barrel from the receiver end. And then go ahead and finish wiping everything down and cleaning it up with your regular gun solvent. The M1A is unique in its firing system and everything because it was originally designed to use a grease, not a drip oil. Drip oil or liquid oil lubricant was for field expedient lubrication when needed, but for the most part, it was to apply a light coat of grease and wipe it in, let it set for a little bit while you're doing all the other parts, and then wipe off the large amount of grease on it, assemble it, and then once it's fully assembled, wipe it back down. And the only problem, and also when you're cleaning, if they're the mil-spec metal mags, and you take them out of the wrapper and they're real sticky, they have the same cosmoline or the same protectant on them. They need to be cleaned the same way. And on the magazines, once they're done cleaned, to get to the inside, take the floor plate off, pull the spring follower and everything out, soak them, scrub them. But when you put them back together, put a very, very light coat of grease on the inside of that magazine, and you will never have any problem with that follower cocking or any feed problems or anything. That is typically, if you have an M1A that has feeding problems, rather than tear the gun down and start searching for problems there, clean the magazine. I have found that most of the time to solve the problem. Grit, sand, junk, dirt, gunpowder. Found a couple of loose primers in one time, John. That'll stick them up real good. But if you ever have a failure to feed on an M1, look at the magazine first. And typically you're going to find that that's where your hiccup is. But once that's done, depending on how much you shoot it and everything, just a good clean down from that point on, seal strip it, wipe everything down, get the carbon and junk out of it, run your cleaning patches through the barrel, and just a very, very light coat of grease. And that thing should run forever, Ted.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, what grease do you recommend?
Hold that thought. We have a break here. We have our last break, gentlemen. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 4th of December, visiting with Jimmy Ginsling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That's DesertEagleShooters.com. Ted, I want to congratulate you on getting the finest battle rifle ever built, in my opinion, the Rifleman's Rifle, the M1A. And you're starting out right, getting advice from Jimmy on the proper break in this rifle. Jimmy, let's finish up your thoughts on that, sir.
All right, sir. The lubricants that I recommend, and it's my own personal preference, and most people I've introduced them to them love them, is Frog Lube. And while we were on the break right there, I went to Hawaii, and over in, I think it's Keali Koni or Kona, the town there, Blue Water Hunter Outdoors is your Frog Lube dealer in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm. Okay, they're 170. That's a different island, but I could order it.
Okay, are you on Honolulu?
Yeah, I'm on Oahu. Yes, sir.
Okay, well, Security Equipment Corporation and Dr. Kelly. If you go to froglube.com, one word, and go to the find a dealer map, they've got 3 of them in Hawaii. Honolulu, Hawaii, Kalikona, and then one in Mililani. They're going to prevent me from ever going to Hawaii, John. They're going to ban me.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Okay.
Thank you for all your help.
Okay.
And I have an energy cleaner. I just want to say the energy cleaner has revolutionized my life, really, in 2 weeks. It's amazing what it's doing.
Well, Ted, we're really happy for you, and we're glad you got your life back. That's wonderful, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
Congratulations
God
again
bless.
on the people ever met.
Okay. I have a favorite aftermarket stock for the M1A, and that's the Archangel made by ProMag. It's an adjustable stock. It's mil spec, and I really like my Archangel stock for my M14 M1A.
Yes, sir. And one piece of information on that, John. Did you know that the Archangel stock is the only one that is approved to be used by military members in field?
Well, I'm kind of surprised that Millen didn't make the cut with as good as their stocks are. But Archangel is. I saw one at the NRA convention in St. Louis. It's been 4 or 5 years ago, and I took one look at it, and I said to the salesman, I need one of these.
Oh yeah.
It's at first glance, it's obviously a very well-made piece of equipment and reasonably priced. The retail price is $250. You can find them on sale for $225. It's a great piece of equipment, and I think will help anybody's marksmanship with an M1A, M14.
It will. And I was unaware of that until at a gun show several months back. Our friend James, who is a semi-retired Navy SEAL captain, officer, and a couple of young Marines were sitting there talking about it, and James had actually ordered an Archangel in for one of the gentlemen. He was picking it up at the gun show.
All right.
And,
Jimmy, we're out of time. We are out of time.
Talk
Thank
to you
sir.
next week, John.
We will. That's it for the day. Get your medical supplies, energy, clean your essential oils now while you can, your firearms, ammunition. Never, ever give up your guns. Please do have a fun, safe, productive day. And God bless America.